What's going on, guys, and welcome on in. Today I got a spicy video for y'all. The latest, most highly requested video from you guys is a Moonlight 5 summon priority list. We're gonna put them in a tier list order, but guys, quick disclaimer, please keep in mind that this is not a accurate, in-depth tier list by any means. Do not get offended if your favorite character, your favorite Moonlight 5 is not on there. This is just a general, very basic for my newer to mid-game player guide, rough summoning guide priority list for the current up-to-date 25 Moonlight 5-star units in the game, okay? So keep that in mind. How it happened is I made a list together, and on stream we had a grueling 2-hour debate where I had players from bronze to legend, as well as the infamous or famous Nguyen Mashu join us, and we all came together and finally agreed on a tier list for you guys here. We broke it up into PvE and PvP. We couldn't cover everything, guys, otherwise we need to make like 5 separate tier lists depending on Guild Wars, Arena, RTA, and then Holo Trials, Abyss, Raid, etc. Okay, so this is not perfect by any means. It's just a rough guide to maybe help you decide if you should pull the trigger on a Mystic Summon, a Galaxy Coin Shop, or if you should wait for something around the corner. I'll give my very basic and brief thoughts on all the units, but I don't want to make the video too long, so keep in mind it's just a general guide, okay? Without further ado, let's get on with the video. Alrighty, guys, let's go ahead and start with the PvE side of things. We're going to go ahead and look at the PvE units for the ML5 summon priority list, alright? So, as you can see here, we broke it up into 2 sections. Like I said before, this is not in depth for all areas of PvE. It's a general idea of what to look for, okay? So, I'm going to go ahead and give you all a spoiler. If you want to go ahead and just know right now, the only ones Car considers must pull, and a lot of people consider these two the must pull units between both PvE and PvP. It's going to be Arbiter Vildred and Spectre Tenebria. Real fast too, guys, if you're wondering which one you should take more into consideration, if you like both PvE and PvP, I would take more stock into the PvP section, as that's going to be a lot of the PvE content can be easily completed in the game, while the PvP section, of course, you know, the PvP areas are going to be a little bit more nuanced, more in-depth, and you're going to need more specialized and stronger units there, in my opinion. So I would take more stock there. But if you just like PvE only, let's go ahead and take a look at this list. But Arbiter Vildred and Spec Tenny are going to be the kings and queens of both the PvP and PvE. Car's only 2 must-pulls out of the whole thing, and then we'll go ahead and rank the rest sort of in order, okay? So without being said, guys, you already know these two amazing DPS units. If we're talking just PvE, super solid in all areas almost. Raid, Holo Trials, Expeditions, you name it. Abyss, they're just very strong. They have inherent survivability. They can be built with so much damage. Just absolutely amazing. RB, tons of AoE, arguably the best fodder farmer. Spec Tenny, inherent survivability with her stealth, as well as the longer the match progresses, the more kills she racks up, the more damage she's going to do. She even has a pseudo, 2-hit cleave, and poison being an extremely strong debuff for things like Abyss. And then we're not even going to talk about the PvP yet, but they're amazing there too. So these are the 2 must pulls. After these 2, we have the 2 revivers in the game. I know you might be surprised to see Maid Chloe up here, but remember, this is the PvE section. For PvE, guys, revive is just very strong as sort of like a handicap, like a crutch mechanic. It'll give you a lot of room for error, especially in hard content like Abyss. If a unit dies, you don't have to restart. It's going to just give you that breathing room. Maid Chloe is the more offensive reviver, and then Ruel will be the more defensive reviver. I actually think Maid Chloe is slightly better. It's going to depend on your playstyle. Ruel's safer, but Maid Chloe will give you that attack up. So I prefer her, but I've always used Ruel because I had her first. So either of them are good. If you need a reviver, pick one of these up for PvE. After that, guys, we get into the B section. We have Silverblade Arminta, who actually has a very nice kit for PvE. Lots of debuffs, lots of burns. Pretty solid overall. AoE damage, you name it. A lot of turns, a lot of out-of-combat turns, things like that. The Fallen Cecilia, she's not really amazing by any means, but she is a nice tank if you wanted to build one up anyways, especially if you want to double dip into the PvP section. But even just for PvE, relatively speaking, there's going to be some better PvE knights. But she is very strong in the fact that she's relatively easy to gear. She has 100% provoke, which is very relevant in things like Holo Trials. And she has that barrier that's just going to help sustain your team. In the C rank row, guys, it's really just, these are run-of-the-mill units. They have a lot of success somewhere. I'll go ahead and call out a few. Ravi, just pretty much solid everywhere. Kind of overshadowed by Ravi, but in areas where there's ice units, she could perform better. Tomika, just high damage unit. With a lot of speed and, CR push shenanigans. Rylet if you slap a lifesteal set on Rylet and he's one of your first units, you can kind of just run him in a lot of areas. As long as he doesn't get one shot, he's going to kind of just stay alive, do a ton of damage, and he's pretty solid overall. Haste, really, you might be confused. He doesn't really do too much outside of one area of the game, and that is Azamanak, especially A13. He's so powerful there because when you kill the eggs, if you don't know about the boss, there's these egg ads, and when you kill them, he will proc his, and they revive, he'll proc his, you know, his S2 anti-revive, which just sort of helps keep the team alive, gives you immunity, and he also will restack his S3 heal. On top of that, he also has an S1 strip, so just very, very nice for that aspect if you need help there, and then also plan to play PvP, solid pickup. ML you can kind of just run him in a lot of areas in fodder farming, you know, the adventure stages, and he'll just be a monster there. Sage Ball, decent cleanser, can CR push your team, decent heals too, right? After that, guys, E and D, it really doesn't matter too much here. If you like the unit at this point from C, E, and D, it's really just going to depend. They all have, you can make them work in PvE somewhere. They're going to have some application somewhere, but they're really not going to be known for that. So at that point, guys, beyond SA, even maybe B, go ahead and just pick based on your favorite unit, how they look, their kit, whatever it might be, okay? The only ones I would say to avoid if you only play PvE, unless you really, really like them, A Marrow and D Corvus are actually sort of, they will hurt your progress because their animations are so slow. They don't have a starting S3. A Marrow will just slow down because almost all the bosses are immune to seal. Her animations are slow. No S3, like I mentioned, she's pretty weak overall. You really don't want to run her there at all. And D Corvus, kind of the same thing. You just don't need him anywhere. No S3. Very, very unimpactful. Try to avoid these if you're a PvE only player. All right, so we're going to move through that pretty quickly, guys. Let's go ahead and move on to the PvE section. This one's a little bit spicier. Okay, this one especially, guys, please remember this is not a tier list. Even, you know, a lot of these units, even on the PvE side, guys, you can move up one or down depending on your playstyle, but this is the order we sort of just decided on. So keep that in mind, okay? All right, guys, in the S rank row, you might have heard the term the Golden Boys. We have Sage Ball, A Tywin, and Last Rider Crow. Let's go just left from right. A Tywin, he's a knight, he's amazing. You kind of just spam S3s. He can take over a match. Speed down is super strong. AoE stun super strong. S2 battle command cleansing. He counters a lot of units. Just almost good in a lot of situations. If you don't have a lot of speed gear, especially too, you want to play that knight or bruiser style, you know, these two in general, very, very strong for that. Last Rider Crow, also one of the top tier picks. If you like PvP, you got to pick up one or both of these. Immunity, true damage, S3 AoE. S2, he counters a lot of AoE units as well. And his S1 gives speed up. He's just never bad. He's actually, they're both meta defining, meta shaping. You have to have answers for them. They're very high priority picks, these two in general. Spectating RB, I kind of covered on the PvE section, but the same holds up for PvP, guys. Arena, RTA, Guild Wars, they can be used everywhere, even on defense as well. This is why they're the two must pulls, because they hit all aspects of the game. I don't need to go too far in depth on their PvP. Just know they are very, very strong picks here as well. RB, maybe not so much like on the same level as some of the Golden Boys. Maybe not even Spectating or FCC, right? But still very, very good. I do think he should still be in the S rank because he is another must-answer unit, and a lot of players can just pick up and use him to pretty good effect. Fallen CC, I don't need to tell you all her applications for PvP. One of the highest priority picks, counters a lot of units because of her barrier, especially stacking that behind immunity. And, you know, she's just very solid, can be built as a bruiser, protects your team. The barriers are insanely strong, 100% provoke. She's just always good for PvP. Sage Ball could be, you know, he actually could, some people wanted to move him down to A rank. We kept him here. It doesn't really matter too much. Just know he is super, super strong after his buff, and I do think he's going to be one of the next banners coming up. So keep that in mind if you like him. His style is not quite like the Knight spam S3. He does have a little bit more nuance to his kit. Just know he's very strong, not too terribly difficult to play. There's a little bit more in-depth thought to it, but extremely, extremely strong, hard to answer. Maybe not a top contested pick, at least for now until he gets a rerun, but he's super strong, and if you haven't had the displeasure of fighting him, trust me, he is a terror on the battlefield. All right, in the A rank row, guys, these are only overshadowed by the S rank row. Very, very strong units as well. Bryceria, I think a lot of y'all are still underrating her. She's actually my most wanted PvP unit, but we're not going to get into that. If you need more thoughts on her, go ahead and check out my review I did on Washable Platypi's account, where we got a legend player sort of take on her. I've had a ton of videos talking about her, but just know she's very, very strong, guys, post buff. A lot of people didn't think so, but she's amazing debuffer, Very, very solid. A lot of players consider her very, very high tier. Haste, he's kind of fallen off a little bit in terms of just pick rate, but still has the same exact kit. Still extremely strong, anti-revive, and strong enough to be used even outside of revive comps. So he remains in the A rank. Damage mitigation, true damage S3, S1 strip. Tomika, very, very high momentum. Same thing with Operator Cigarette. We'll talk about these two together. I don't really use either of these, but I know a lot of the comments came in from my viewer base that these two should be in the A rank. Very high momentum, used a lot in sort of cleave style teams. High momentum, high pressure. If they go early, they're gonna take something out with their respective niches, right? She ignores damage share. Opsig, very good versus things like barriers. Just very strong, high momentum. If you like that play style, pick one of these two up. Very, very relevant currently. And LQC, she's kind of man, she's just amazing right now too. A lot of players are building a bruiser, but lately everyone's taking advantage of the splash damage. She answers a lot of the arena defenses, the high tier annoying arena defense teams. If you build her with a lot of attack and splash damage, she's just gonna go ahead and clean up. It does so much dang damage. She's also good just in general, RTA, especially when there's a dark unit. You probably don't want to draft her too much against non-dark units, but she could still be drafted there. So she's a solid A rank pick. Very, very strong bruiser. In the B rank row, guys, let's go on and move through these pretty quickly. A Meru is also one that could be considered A rank. She's only going to get stronger with the more units with S2 passes that come out. As long as they don't bring out another unit that has seal that just has a better kit, she's going to be amazing as the game moves forward. So she could easily move up in the tier list. She could already be A rank, honestly. Like I said, a lot of these units could be moved up or down one without, any concern. But super, super strong in PvP. Answers a lot of the problem units, especially in Guild Wars, Arena, and then RTA. She's a monster as long as you watch out for her hard counters. The seal passive just too dang good. Rylet, a lot of people don't like him as much. He used to be considered S rank, used to be considered A rank. Now he's comfortably somewhere in the middle, I think. Top of the middle pack. I still think he's very strong, but the fact, the more counters are coming out for him, like Meru, like Archdemon Shadow, he is getting a little bit weaker and weaker. A lot of people are noticing, when he doesn't dodge, he's going to need more insane gear, but he's still solid overall. He does demand answers, and a lot of times he can just take over a match. So still a strong pickup, I think, especially if you like him for PvP. Ruel, falling off big time. She used to be considered one of the top tier, contested picks, but Revive and Soul Weavers in general just sort of, aren't as favorable as they used to be. But I do think, guys, they're making a comeback, and especially if you don't have a Reviver for PvP, you're going to want one, period. Her sort of playstyles drastically change a lot in the higher levels of PvP, but we don't need to get into that. Just know she's kind of on the rise again after falling off a bit. Still very strong, still the premier reviver. If you like her, get her. And I do think she is definitely going to be on the next, she's going to be coming up very soon because she's the next master skin, which, by the way, guys, if you want to stop by our channel, twitch.tv/car6. Last season, I got every single player that I did a review for. I think we did 10 to 15 reviews. We all got them to masters on stream. We helped review their account, and we locked in that skin. So we're gonna do the same thing with the world. Just keep that in mind. Come hang out with us. A lot of y'all have stopped by already. Faithless Litica also fallen off a ton, but players, she can't really speed contest anymore. But players that want to take advantage of her crazy skill kit, she still is amazing in that regard. So B is still very good, guys. Just keep in mind her playstyle. If you can't really get her too fast, or if she doesn't really fit that sort of fast momentum debuff, early lead, she may not be for you, especially nowadays. She's not as strong as she used to be, but still a decent pickup. DJB and Dilibet. DJB just got a rework, or not a rework, but a buff, and then Designer Lilibet was one of the latest units to be released after or before Solitaria. They're both cleansers. They both kind of do it differently. One is more of a defensive bruiser, and this guy is an immunity CR pusher. But, just keep in mind, they're both cleanser units, so they kind of fit the same niche. Just pick which one ever you like more. If you like more immunity, or if you just you want more of a damaged bruiser, pick one or the other, or pick waifu or husband. Okay, whatever you like. Solitaria, this one I'm gonna get asked about a lot. I know. I placed her, guys, as per my viewers. I haven't pulled her yet, but let me just go through my quick thoughts. She is unique in the fact that it's been confirmed now that her Daydream interacts with Violin. She's one of the only units that can strip with Violin before her debuffs. She has AoE S1 debuffs when she has the Daydream proc. On top of that, guys, her anti-focus S2 is only going to get stronger, similar to Meru's anti-seal. She's only going to get stronger as the game progresses, but really, this B is just sort of a safe spot to put her. She could be up 1, up 2, down 1, down 2, who knows, but she will get stronger as the game goes on because the anti-focus is very unique, as well as her Violin plus Daydream effect. Okay, so still, I would wait to see where people take her for now. In the C rank row, guys, let's blaze through these real fast. Specimen says, after his buff, I think the players that love Specimen says they can use him very well, but overall, harder to use, not really super necessary for anything, but I think if you like him, he can still be amazing, can take out almost any unit in the game. A Ravi, also very strong, never a bad pick, especially with dual attackers, but very overshadowed right now by her RGB counterpart, Fire Ravi. She's just okay at the moment. She can be very good. She's almost never a bad pick too, but sometimes she doesn't have enough momentum. ML Ken is in a very tough spot right now. Probably one of the weaker ML5s, but the problem is if you buff him, he might take over the entire game like he used to. Just know he's very hard to gear. He's also not super impactful. He does still have some areas. A lot of people were counter picking with him late into season 3, but yeah, overall just in a tough spot. D Corvus. He could be up. He could be moved up 1 or 2 depending on how much you value Guild Wars. Beyond that, though, he's not very favorable in things like RTA anymore. But for Guild Wars especially, guys, if you just want a reliable unit that's good versus 99% of the cast, relatively easy to gear too. If you just want easy mystics, easy wins, you pick him up. Just be aware you might fall asleep while playing him because he's that slow. Very slow playstyle. J Kisei falling off big time. I think if you love cleaving for things like arena offense, maybe even Guild War offense can still be great there, but very hard to use in RTA. And the way cleaves have kind of shifted, people opt for units like Tomoka and Op Sig, you know, single target, take out things slowly, because the pure, you know, kill 4 units at once, that playstyle has kind of gone way too hard to run. She still can be run as like a debuffer with her skill pushback, but overall, not nearly as strong of a pick as she used to be. SBA, even after her buffs, guys, it's such a shame. She's just, there's too many anti CC units in the game right now, and all the other CC units kind of have something going for them in terms of like removing immunity, things like that. She has to be run with other units, so unless you 4th or 5th pick her in RTA, there's a lot of times you can just get trapped where she's a dead pick. Very easy to punish. Kind of hard to run right now. She needs a little bit of more help, in my opinion. Now, Maid Chloe, guys, I don't think she's really any weaker than anyone in the C rank row, but I do think she's probably the most asked about unit to be buffed. So we're gonna put her down here in her own section. Until then, yeah, she's probably in the C rank row of power. If you want to revive her, Ruel's kind of just better. She's in a tough spot. She probably is gonna get some support soon. She's one of the last units that hasn't received a round of, you know, adjustments or buffs. So keep an eye out for that. All right. With that being said, guys, those are my quick thoughts. Hopefully this helps you decide what to pull for, what not to pull for. Keep in mind, guys, my prediction is, you know, Ruel will be getting a skin. I think Sage Ball or Specimen Says will be coming up next on the banners. Other than that, you're going to have to wait for the Galaxy Coin Shop or the Mystic rerun. So start saving. Hopefully this helps you decide a little bit more on what you want to pull for. And if you need any extra help, guys, I always try to answer my comments. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace out, guys.